Next up on our show, she's been with us before. She is Julie Gatza. She's a health and wellness expert. And in fact, she has done a lot of different things over the years. She's a health educator. She's one of the nation's top chiropractic physicians with more than 20 years of clinical practice. Highly popular speaker. Obviously, she's here, so we know she's popular. And she wanted to talk this morning about something that happens during this time of year, holiday sugar cravings. And we welcome Dr. Julie Gatza to the program. Good morning, Dr. Gatza. Good to have you back.
Good morning, Gary. Thanks for having me back on.
Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Sugary celebrations and December go hand in hand, don't they? Or hand in mouth, maybe we should say. And again, it's great that we have you on today on National Cookie Day, which is certainly a sugary celebration, right?
Well, this month seems to be just a big downslide, and if you don't get control of it in January, it really lasts longer than it should. And then we got, coming up, what we just come off of or still in as far as COVID. I think everyone's diets are a little wild.
Yeah, absolutely. Sugar craving, talk first of all about the dangers of sugar, because, people hear that and they say, oh, yeah, okay, fine. And then they go ahead and stuff about 3 or 4 chocolate chip cookies in their mouth. But what is the danger of sugar and its effect on the body?
It's not such a big deal if you're doing it on occasion and keeping, you're sort of being responsible about it. But what occurs is once you start in on eating sugars normally and constantly, you switch your metabolism over to a sugar-driven metabolism where your body actually craves the carbohydrates, the breads, the refined sugars, and then, you can't stop. So even at night, you're eating things before bed that are just sugary. And a lot of times what is causing that is not just a bad habit, where it's been the holidays, but you can have a yeast overgrowth in your digestive system, and yeast needs sugar to grow. So you can have this constant craving that's really not necessarily you and your weak willpower, quote unquote. It's the yeast basically demanding sugar to live, and this is it's really hard to understand as far as why that's occurring, and it's always been very difficult in the past to fix it. And I have a solution recently that's handled this for just about every patient that's walked into my clinic. Talk about that a little bit and the solution that you've had that's really helping that. Well, it's a herb from New Zealand, from a Horopito plant, and it's called Colorex, K-O-L-O-R-E-X. And what this does is it wipes out these yeast colonies and puts it back into balance with your good bacteria and your digestive system. Okay. So the yeast now gets under control. You take one a day, and it's been unbelievably effective as compared to a 6-month to a year's sort of handling to try to handle it in the past without the Colorex. We were talking about this thing about these cravings, and the name of that is Candida albicans. And no, it's not a song. Candida. No, it's the old. You remember the song too? I mean, it was. But anyway, that's not what it's about here. It's about something totally different. Candida albicans. Am I saying that correctly? Yes, you're saying it correctly. And what often will occur is it can get out of hand because of being on antibiotics even once. Now, that's not the only reason. Poor habits, stress on the system, maybe a surgery. But when you're on antibiotics, it wipes out not just the bacteria it's trying to handle, let's say, a lung infection or an ear infection. It wipes out all your bacteria, and now the yeast has a chance to just go crazy, and this is where sugar cravings are coming from, along with a lot of unwanted symptoms. Now, does Candida affect men and women in the same way, Dr. Gatza? I mean, with women, it's more obvious where they're going to see and experience the yeast infections. Guys can have toenail fungus and, different problems going on that way. But in general, it really does affect people as far as brain fog. It can have skin problems. They can have extreme fatigue, digestive problems, and the metabolism just isn't working properly because of all this, craving of the sugar. So even a hormonal system can get imbalanced, and people don't really see why. So they're, spending a lot of money on other solutions, and they just need to wipe, Candida out and put it back into a good balance. How do we determine if we have too much of this Candida stuff in our body? I determined long ago I had too much of the song in my brain, but I mean the stuff that you have now, it's important that we're talking about this morning. Too. That's right. It's mostly the symptoms because there's no great medical test for it. So you basically go on, somebody's history and find out, were they on antibiotics recently? Have they been craving sugar? Have they experienced any type of, yeast infections with a woman, even a urinary tract infection? And then skin conditions and brain fog and things like that. And, you'll start to see that this is a pattern that people say, well, yeah, this has been happening. I thought it was just, low energy or, no willpower. I'm just aging. And it's not any of those.
The other part about it, too, and you talk about sugar in the diet, and I've lost 200 pounds in the last year and a half. And one of the things that's really interesting to me has been when I look at labels and the amount of sugar that's in our foods, and foods that you normally wouldn't think about having sugar, but they're there. You've talked this morning about information on this. What would be a final word you would have, and where can we find more information about this, Dr. Gatza?
They should go into the Nature's Sources website. So that's Nature's Sources. Look up the Colorex. Find out about it, where it's from. It comes in. It's very easy to take. You can give it to children. You can give it to elderly. And they can also call the 1-800 number, which is 1-800-827-7656. And if they use the code radio, they can ask for 20% off their first order. And I'd recommend, take advantage of it. Have it in your counter, in your medicine cabinets or your shelving, and have it on hand because inevitably somebody is going to be affected in the household, or you're frustrated trying to lose weight. You can't figure out why. Well, get on a round of 30 days of Colorex, and now all the things that you're going to do to try to lose the weight, it works a heck of a lot better, and it's not like roller skating uphill.
Yeah, and also, don't eat every cookie that's put in front of you, too, which is kind of a good idea. I hope I have not put a bad song in your head all day long here, Dr. Gatza, but you have put some great ideas in our head for all day long, and we appreciate you taking the time this morning. Always good having you on the show.
Thanks, Gary. Nice talking with you, too.
Dr. Julie Gatza with us here on WSBA Morning News.